We're back with you in the Law on 938 Live. I'm Keith D'Souza. Great morning. I hope you are having. 669-11938 is our number. Ray, thank you for your call. Of course, I wish you all the best with your trying to solve your problem with your neighbor. If you have other issues that you'd like to put to Dana, 669-11938 is our number. We're talking today with Dana Grossman from Mediate Singapore. We're talking about the launch of CIMI, which, if you didn't know, was the Singapore International Mediation Institute, which is, now putting a brand name on the issue of mediation in Singapore. And of course, I sound like a broken record. Our number is 669-11938 if you have a question for Dana. Dana, before we left Ray and in the first segment, you were talking about companies right now putting a mediation clause in their agreements.
Yes.
What is that all about? That means, should everyone put a mediation clause in their agreements with customers should disputes arise?
I believe they should. I do it myself when I have my personal contract. When you have a contract, it's a beautiful time when two parties or more came to realization and agreement, to put things in writing. Everybody's aiming for the best. It's a beautiful partnership or beautiful selling or purchasing, whatever. Everybody's aiming for the best. But since we have no control over the future,
indeed,
we would like to prepare ourselves for the best if anything happened. So if a dispute arises, a misunderstanding, a conflict, whatever, you'll be covered in the best way. Now, putting only region or an area to go to through litigation leaves you with nothing in your hand. It will lead to escalation, loss of control, lose of control, waste of money, waste of time, no confidentiality, blah, 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 all the things that we've talked about before. Right. If you would only put a clause that's called mediation clause, you will cover yourself to do the best when a conflict arises in order to solve it in a very positive manner. So every party involved in the contract actually agrees that when something comes up, they go through mediation first.
Before litigation.
Before anything else.
Okay.
And if for any reason the mediation doesn't work, like for Ray, right?
Right.
It did work, but something is happening now with the contract. We're going to discuss it in a second.
Yes.
So if anything arises, all parties agree to come to a certain area of mediation, like for a center, to do their best in order to reach an agreement. And if that doesn't work, they have a few options, either to go through arbitration, which is still better than going to litigation, or going to litigation. Now, CIMI has come up with a beautiful option, which didn't agree. Maybe it was exist in Singapore before, but not very popular. And since CIMI is going to push things forward with SIMC, the executor and the provider, they came up with a clause that is a combination. It's called MAA.
Okay.
It's arbitration, mediation, arbitration.
Okay.
So you can start the process by going to an arbitrator, but through the process, he will ask you if you're willing to go with goodwill to try and mediate the issue. If you end up mediating that, reaching an agreement, everybody is happy, better than anything else, this agreement will be binding like an arbitration agreement. So it's arbitration at the beginning, mediation at the middle, like the heart of the process, and then you go back to arbitration in order to close the agreement, and it's binding.
Okay.
That's one option that they're trying to promote, which I think can be very positive. Going through only mediation is also okay, and also very highly recommended as far as I believe.
Sure.
Because you go to a mediation, you go with your goodwill, you have nothing to lose. It's a win-win situation. Everybody shares their true issues, true feelings, true needs. So the mediation agreement is very rich, is very wide, and solves majority of the issues that were on the table. Once you reach an agreement, you don't want to break it anymore.
Right.
If you do break it, you can go back to arbitration or litigation, like Ray.
Okay.
When Ray went to the community center and reached an agreement...
3 times, he said.
Yes. So it's some of them, maybe him or his neighbor, maybe they have something that they didn't share all the way through, which happens. We're all humans and we have things that we don't want to share. Or one of them is too stubborn to follow orders. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes, if you remember, we started the show by saying that there are cases that it's inventable. They will go back to court. Right. If Ray reached an agreement for the third time and this neighbor doesn't follow, he has a reason to go back to court. He can try for the last time, but if it doesn't work, then yes, it's an agreement that was breached. You can take it to court in order to...
Following up on Ray's issue, he said there was a contractual agreement. When they signed that, is that binding?
Mediation is a bit different. Mediation, since it's a voluntary process, it cannot bind as a verdict from court or from arbitration. It's a matter of trust, goodwill, and they trust people to come and give their time, give their energy and efforts, reaching an agreement to avoid litigation and to follow that agreement. If somebody is breaking the agreement and breach it, fine, you can go back to court. But what's the point? It's based on the pure good logic of people, goodwill, and all the needs that we've pointed before. You want to save money and time. You want to save face.
Right.
You want to save your legal record. What's the point of dragging it on and on and on? If you would go through the AMA, the mediation arbitration, it will be binding for sure by the laws of Singapore. Yes.
Other than that, it is a voluntary exercise.
Correct.
So maybe is that why that mediation, perhaps people don't want to go through that route, like poor Ray went through that whole situation, got things agreed upon, still broken, he went through another one, and finally a third one, and it still seems to be unresolved. Is that why perhaps mediation is taking a hit, an image hit? Because I'm going through all of this, it takes quite a while, I'm pouring out everything that I have in the hope of resolving this issue, but then in the end it still, breaks my heart, as they say.
So firstly, in Ray's case, if he went 3 times, it means that he had 3 meetings before he ended up with agreement.
Sure.
Faster, cheaper, better in the sense of being human beings, sharing your emotions, getting them treated well in court. So it's not that he was dragged
right.
First. Second, if we put things in perspective, the high rates of success in mediation proves that majority of the cases, the minute they do choose to come to mediation, they end up with a contract that they follow later on. More than 80% of the cases that are coming to mediation, they ended up with an agreement. They save the money, the face, the time that we've talked about before. So if you're talking about reality-wise, I think mediation is a growing thing because the client believes that it's for his own best in order to save all the things that we've said before.
Taking your calls on 669-11938. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is Joe.
Yes, Joe. Your question for Dana.
I'm just wondering, the purpose of mediation and arbitration is presumably to reduce the cost of going towards litigation.
Indeed.
So what is the cost of going to the mediation center or arbitration, and how will it help? Particularly if it's a small dispute between the neighbors, and do both parties have to pay for it? And do we get lawyers to represent yourself?
Okay.
To represent yourself.
We'll put that to Dana as the final question. The price. What's it going to cost me?
Money-wise. Yes, so good morning, first of all. Yes, arbitration and mediation did come up in order to save money, but not for that only. The bigger purpose and the bigger picture is about to reach better agreements so people can actually maintain the relationship for the future or move onwards in a positive way. So it's not only the money that concerns people, it's the time, it's the face, etc., as we said before. If a neighbor has a problem with a neighbor, that's why Singapore government have created the Singapore Community Center for Mediation. It's beautiful. It doesn't cost so much. I'm not sure about the rates because I'm not volunteering there. I'm volunteering as the Small Claim Tribunal. It's easy to find it online, but it's a matter of really cheap cost based on the fact that it's a neighbor dispute and nobody wants to charge you too much. It doesn't take too long. So any dispute that I would say between neighbors should go to the community center. It's a beautiful process. It will allow you to live peacefully with your neighbor afterwards. It doesn't take too much. The meetings are like 2-3 hours, and if you need to meet once again, you meet once again. And it has nothing to do with court, as you said, and you said right. No need to go to litigation or arbitration in order to solve a dispute between neighbors. It's a matter of community. You need to be a part of the community to take care of your own quality of life, but you must be considerate to the others as well. So there must be something over there that prevents the neighbor from cooperating. It's a need that has to be addressed. Either pride or revenge, or he's just doesn't pay attention to the others, so he needs to learn that there are others in a community, otherwise he should go and live on a mountain by himself. So yes, you should go and check it online.
And to help you up, Joe, you can go to mediation.com.sg. I know that is the Singapore Mediation Center, which I have listed. If we try for the CMC, let's see what that brings up. It doesn't bring up anything on
They're located at the, if you know Havelock Road, they're located within the small claim tribunal over there. There's a beautiful center with beautiful people, very experienced. They're all coming and volunteering their time and working there. You should go there, and the cost is very, very low.
Minimum.
We're not, it's minimum. It is minimum.
I hope that answers your question, Joe. 669-11938. Thank you for calling it, and thank you, Dana Grossman, for joining us this morning. It's been quite exciting. We've got calls today. And say you'll come back and talk to us again. Of course, we will drag Dana in ever so often. Of course, if you need more information, why don't you hit us up on Facebook, which is official 938 Live at facebook.com. For me, I'm Keith D'Souza, thanking Dana Grossman for joining us this morning. And of course, you've been listening to You and the Law. Keep it right here. Daphne Lim coming in just a moment.
And now, the LTA traffic news on 938 Live.